You are listening to selfdiscoverymedia.com, where illumination and inspiration is but a click away. With so many genre topics for you on everything that you need to know in life. We celebrate and share the people who have taken the journey before you and who are now here to serve you with their wisdom and their knowledge. The next show coming up is... Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of For the Love of Music right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sara Troy. Music is something that unites us, it heals us, it uplifts us, it speaks to our times, it's our poetry, it is everything that we need in life. When we hear music, it changes us completely, it enlightens us, and it makes us stronger. Well, here is an artist that is bringing about one nation. We're going to be strong. It's one nation and quantum reunification. One nation is what it's about. To actually understand we're all part of the human race. We all share this wonderful planet, and it's time that we come together. And she's put a beautiful song together on that, many songs together on that. And it's music is that something that reaches your heart and just completely and utterly uplifts you and expresses what you sometimes cannot do in any other way. Her name is Keya Kyea. I'm pronouncing it wrong. She is Polish. She has a beautiful name. I want her to actually say it because she will say it much more with more justice than I can. And she's been blessed with the vision of the times to come in the past years, and she can see what she has been shown is unfolding more and more each day. She had a near-death experience at the age of 14, which allowed her to experience the field of united consciousness in an undescribable love that could be found beyond the veil and the remains of only truth, and all at the same time, the great illusion that surrounds us while incarnating us in the destiny of our beautiful Gaia. People who have been on this cosmic journey that truly understand life, because facing death, facing those redirects, facing those changes of life, step into their meaningful purpose, step into that beautiful understanding of what they're here to do. And in that gift, they now serve us. So it's very, very beautiful that we share your gift here with the audience today. Your music, your passion, your work, and everything you do to bring us together in unification, because utterly that's where we need to go, isn't it, love?
It is, absolutely. Consciousness of one. It's something that got lost at one point. And I believe we are in a time right now which is extremely important for the evolution, not only on our planet, but even on a wider scale. It seems difficult to understand because we are so tiny, right? If you look
yes.
at the complexity of the universe, of galaxies, it goes beyond even what our imagination can conceive. But I have had, okay, I'm going to go right into...
Yes, please do dive right in.
It's right, because that's what comes to me right now in my memory. In 2009, well, I was personally going through something quite difficult, but I was at the same time blessed with beautiful things, beautiful spiritual gifts. And one of these gifts was one vision I had. So I'm kind of clairsentient, and I've got some gifts. But these visions come not that often. I've had maybe 5 or 6 in my entire life. And it's something totally different, difficult to explain, because at the same time I see, at the same time I hear. And I know that it is a gift from the higher realms. Okay, so this one was about our planet, and I saw planet Earth, and I saw going out of it like another planet Earth that was radiant, that was really, really beautiful, shining and bright, filled with different energy, a different energy, not the density, not the heaviness, and I was shown, and I was kind of told that it is the new Earth, and that was birthed. It was born. It was getting birthed. As you know, Sarah, our relation to time as human beings is kind of difficult to,
comprehend.
We're
We're very linear in our thinking when it comes to time.
Exactly. And so we have an understanding of time which is very limited and very flat. And
Yes.
time is not that. In other words, when you have such visions, you never know how long it's going to take for things to really manifest. But I've seen things here and there, and I had, because we're talking about that, I'm going to share with you another vision I had. And that's in summer 2012. And I was driving, I was with my son, going shopping. I mean, something very casual, nothing, I was not in a heavy meditation, in a profound meditation, not at all. I was in a very ordinary moment of life. And at the wheel, all of a sudden, I see something like coming towards me, again, the picture. And I was shown a line, just like a thread, okay? And I understood that it was a vibratory thing. It was a vibration level. And I was like kind of told, because I kind of hear a voice, but these perceptions can vary from one person to another. And this voice, feminine voice, very wise, very soft, could have been like the Divine Mother or a grandmother, a wise grandmother, or I don't know. I never ask for names,
Yeah, it's not important.
It's just the love you're getting, the
Yes.
love you're getting, the enlightenment you're getting that matters. And so I heard that everything that was going to be, so that's back to 7 years ago, everything which is going to be below this line will become more and more dense, more and more kind of hellish. And everything which is above will become more and more blissful. And I have seen that every day. And even when, with that type of consciousness kind of really awaken, sometimes, we get caught. We get caught because somebody's in a bad mood in the same room and they talk to you in a harsh manner or whatever. There are some days with and some days without. We all have them. And I always remember that. And I see that. I see, when you're driving, you see the way people drive. Some of them are really going mad.
Road rage galore, yes.
And so it's like, okay, come back to the heart. Come back to the heart. Come back to that love. Breathe out. Let go of all that. It's not real.
No, it isn't. And that is our discontent showing. When we get so angst, when we get so angry, when we want everything now, or we're chasing our tails, it's because we haven't yet found our center. We haven't found that soul, heart, spirit connection. We haven't raised our own frequency, our own vibration. And when we do, when we get there, we realize that higher vibration, which we call love, is something that resonates and ripples out on such a beautiful harmony, like music, just resonating out, that penetrates everybody's hearts and souls around them. That's why music is such a beautiful language that really speaks to people. And in that higher vibration, we cannot willingly do harm to another, because that vibration is a love vibration. And we're in a higher level where it is not to do harm, but to be of service and enable one another to step up even into a higher light. It's very beautiful when we choose to get there, but there are still people that are still very angry and disconnected to themselves or disconnected to life. And really, everything in life is a journey into finding our own center, isn't it? Finding the peace within, and then you can bring it on the outside, or you can be amongst the peace that is outside and let it penetrate in. But it's a two-way street.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I think we have forgotten too many things, The human being has been conditioned.
Yes.
So many things that we have taken for granted as a collective, right? And we all know that. And it begins in school. It begins with religion. It begins with politics. It begins with those who have an interest in maintaining people in ignorance
Yeah.
or in fear. And there have been so many confusions. Like, why would, okay, I'm gonna say the big word, but why would creator, love, source, whatever you want to name it, punish us? To
Yes.
me, God is love. To me, God is love. And I have experienced this love when I was in that coma phase. And I know that it's not true. It's
Yes.
not true. There is no punishment. It's not that. But the human consciousness can really put us into fear, can drive you to hell,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes. And that conditioning is hell. That's the thing. You know, when you're living in that fear and when you're living in that persecution, you know, you are living already in hell. Heaven and hell is right here, right now, in your existence here, right now.
It's a state of consciousness. It's only a
Yeah,
state of
it
consciousness.
is, absolutely. And that beautiful divine presence, whatever you want to call it, God, universal spirit, Gus, as one of my other hosts used to call it, is an energy that is so pure. It doesn't know hate or love. It just resonates at a frequency that is constantly creative, constantly expanding, constantly inviting. And when you step up to that level, you know, that light that you described coming from the planet, that is where we have to elevate to. And when we, in unification, come together and raise that vibration, we will actually bring about that glow around the planet that is needed in the universe. The universe has taken a great deal of interest in us. Going to go, oh my God, are they going to blow it up? It has a purpose. It needs to glow.
Yes, yes, so very true. It is a responsibility,
Yeah.
and I believe that to be a conscious person, to be awakened, as they say, is sometimes difficult because you can see so much density sometimes and fear. And you know, it's difficult when people are caught into that fear because you look suspicious to them. They just don't, you know, like, what is she trying to sell me, or
Yes. Everything is on distrust.
exactly. But I believe that we are going to get there because, you know, there are some choices that are beyond um, our level, and everybody says these choices have been taken, have been made, and I do kind of believe that, yes, we are seeing a lot of chaos. We are seeing a lot of things that are very disaligned because they are brought up to the surface so that we can see them, become conscious of them, and heal them. And
Yes.
if every person who is conscious and aware does their part in healing the wounds of the past, every time we do a piece of work, we are doing it for all that is.
The greater good. Yes.
And I
Yeah.
see that in the sessions when I give sessions. I see that because in the past 6 months, it started about a year ago, that I was surprised to have some like, it was a normal thing to have one or two ancestors to come, you know, the spirit of some ancestor to manifest in a session, or to have one or two ascended masters or guides coming to assist the person, to assist the work. I've noticed in the past year, and it's getting more and more vivid, that now it's just like so many are coming. They all come to assist.
Yes.
And when you work on the lineage and the transgenerational problems, I've seen like, wow, columns of ancestors all coming and looking, because like they're wanting to be free, and there's something in the human mind that keeps things trapped.
Yes.
And in the work I do as a quantum reunification healer, is a large part of it is about that. It's about soul memories, or soul aspects, if you want, that have been scattered through the very the many episodes we've been going through collectively and also individually. And some, so it's like little parts of the soul stayed blocked somewhere, and they are claiming to come back. And the place of healing, the sacred, what's the word? I'm just missing the word, for the transmutation.
Yeah. The emergence. I think what is happening is finally we're opening our channels. 2012 was the big huge shift, from one dimensional up to another. And then it was the invitation, from third onto the fourth bridge up to the fifth purpose. And it was that bridge was only going to stay open for a certain amount of time. And you had to be on it, and on your way to the fifth, the third dimensional bridge, it will break away. And if you've chosen to live in hate and fear and loathing and greed and all of that, you'll get left behind. You go by the way of the dinosaurs, naturally dying out. But for those that have been awoken, it is like a tap on the shoulder or the cosmic 2x4 in an awareness of stepping into something. They've taken that journey in their self-discovery of to who they are, what their purpose is here, what their service is to mankind. And in doing so, they've opened up their channels. And now the other divine beings, whether they are people that have been here before, or what is happening a great deal is other energies that are coming through and guiding people like yourself and like others to raise our own frequency to our own elevation of consciousness, into awakening, to understand we are so much more than the limitations we placed upon ourselves. And it is really that transcendence of becoming who we're meant to be and what this planet is meant to be. It's so exciting, isn't it? And so enlightening. It's a wonderful time to be at this gate of this wonderful new beginning.
It is, and that's why so many have wanted to be here, right?
Yes. But, it really does require us to get out of our own way, doesn't it? That conditioning of our thoughts, that conditioning of our old patterns. It first starts in the mind of the willingness to want to change. And then being able to go to someone like you who can shift their energy, shift their focus, open up other channels to let them out. We all need that guidance somewhere along the line that's going to help us pull open that door. But if you're not willing to even want to pull open the door, you can't help. You can only help those of free will.
Absolutely. We cannot force healing. And I would even say that there are so many healers I've known or met or come across to who are not done with their own issues. Mm-hmm. You really need to be. I love the Lakota word. I've spent a lot of time with Lakota people and some Navajo people because I sometimes help as a translator, as an interpreter for them, and from English to French. Unfortunately, I don't speak Lakota well enough of that, but very few people speak Lakota still to this day. But I've learned a lot of wisdom from them. I've learned a lot of what I would call grounded wisdom, and have a few words that I really love. Oh, by the way, Keya is a Lakota name, and it means little turtle.
Beautiful.
So they have two words I would like to mention. The first one is what we use at the beginning of ceremonies and in very sacred moments, and it is mitakuyasin. And it means we are all life is related. Mm-hmm. For Lakota people, it's something which is always reminded, always remembered, like the trees are our, the standing elders, the four-legged, and all life is related. And you just cannot think about yourself as separated.
No.
What is ego but the illusion of separation?
Yes.
And what does bring people into hell but ego, allied with the mind, of course.
Yeah.
Because the monkey mind builds up like crazy stories and turns them round and round with the help of the other. But that is where the problems come from, all the problems in the world. Greed comes from that, fear comes from that. Yeah. And So in this word, mitakoyasin, you just like reconnect with being a part of all that is.
Mm.
That is beautiful. And the other word I wanted to mention, echoing what you just had said, was they talk about hollow bones.
Mm-hmm.
What is a hollow bone? It's somebody who's been emptied enough so that they can really serve as a conduit,
Yes.
without projecting their own whatever, their own story, their own interpretation, or because there are many people who have gifts, but unfortunately a lot of them are still caught in their own story. So
Yes.
they would project that onto others, and it can be really toxic, really. So to me, it's life has really washed me clean.
Yes.
I went through enough to really have to let go and let go and let go deeper and deeper and deeper to a certain end where I felt, okay, I'm so empty that I can serve.
Yeah.
Serve the Lord.
And let's point out, being empty doesn't mean you're abstaining from being yourself.
No.
It's that you have become who you are in an emergence of that divine presence, of that divine energy. And you have become one with that energy, that now you actually really can get out there and be of service. And, you know, I often use the metaphor, it is becoming our instrument. And that once we perfect the instrument, we find our orchestra in which to play in. And those pieces we play in that orchestra will serve those people that need to hear that music at that time. It doesn't mean it's one orchestra that fits all. There are many orchestras, many styles of music, and people are going to receive it as they need it. But what instrument are you? Be willing to become. You are not abstaining from yourself. You are becoming more of yourself with this emergence of this beautiful energy, which is, that's really where the oneness and the unification is, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you know, I give workshop, weekend workshops, and it's all about helping people to find their own note.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We all have a signature, we all have a soul signature, and we all have a note that we are playing the great orchestra. And to be, when I said being empty, it's not, doesn't mean that I can't think anymore, or it's just like when you are in a,
go what doesn't serve you.
and it's being aware of that some things that we take for granted or we believe as being the truth are actually part of the illusion. And what looks like a dream can be more real than what looks like the matter. Because we are trained by our five senses constantly. Like this table is hard, but it's actually molecules in movement.
Precisely.
And when we go into quantum healing, that is the magic of quantum healing, is that you can actually do, it's limitless.
Yeah.
I'm even amazed myself. Sometimes I'm guided to go into with their permission, of course, into the body of people, talking to the cells, doing stuff to the, and it's like, wow, we can, you know?
Yes.
It's just,
I've had it done to me, and it's been extraordinary what it's released, and you know, entrapments that happened centuries ago that needed to be released so that I could walk forward without restraints, because all of that there is restraints that's stopping you from being able to move forward, and sometimes we don't know what it is. Big hand on the chest, you want to move forward and you can't, and you need to go into that cellular structure, deep down into those layers, and release something that was put there maybe to protect you at the time, but you don't need it in this lifetime. You can let it go now. And you can't do this just on an ordinary meditation. You need that quantum energy, because it is a particular energy that is able to go through all the different layers, cellular layer structures and memories of your body. That isn't just a surface. It's so deep and it's so revealing. It's extraordinary.
Yes, it is. It is just amazing. And that is the magic of the times we're in. It's like, even like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, these things were not possible. And as much as we are able to let go of the mental constructs that have kept us prisoners of all what we mentioned before, we discover new possibilities, and it's just phenomenal. It's just awesome, amazing. It's beyond words, actually.
Yeah. I say interview ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And that's the thing. In the past, you would have had to have been the big celebrity, the big this or the big that. And what's so beautiful now, it's ordinary, everyday people going through a life experience, awakening up to an enlightenment, to a beautiful gift that they've been given, that was always within them, that they've managed to ignite. And now they're being of service and contribution to the planet and to each other. And now they're doing something extraordinary. And it's extraordinary because starting off, they never would have thought, I want to be. You know, it is when you're willing to take that journey in life without a map, without following the highway, being willing to take whatever roads that come before you and explore and allow life to happen to you, because that will guide you. We've been so guarded as human beings, right? What's your agenda? What do you want from me? Can I trust you? And that doesn't allow. You know, if we're resonating on a positive vibration, we can allow without harm coming to us. But if we don't allow ourselves from telling forward.
Absolutely. You've said the big word, allow.
Mm-hmm.
So when a session is ended, I always say that to people, thank you for allowing. Mm-hmm. Because it's only them doing the work. Ultimately, we are just here to assist or to facilitate.
Yes, yeah, that, you know, you push the right buttons to let them have their own release, right? Yeah. And I've put you under the genre here at selfdiscoverymedia.com under For the Love of Music, because we're going to be talking about your music, but it's also going under the quantum spirituality. And, you know, the beautiful thing about quantum, it used to be quantum physics, and only a certain amount of people understood it. Quantum energy is something totally different, because it's an energy that is of such a high frequency and a high level, but that once you open up to it, it becomes such an incredible tool. And we didn't understand quantum before. And as you said, now the doors are opening up, and that conduit has shown us the quantum spirituality of releasing our soul, our heart, and our spirit. And it's really very beautiful to see this awakening. We're seeing it on a global scale, literally happening one person at a time. And that's okay, isn't it? It's the domino effect and the ripple effect. As one person becomes, they are now more equipped to help the next person, and so on and so on. And that's how we're doing it, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's what you are just saying reminds me of a beautiful quote, which is every time you heal a dark part in yourself, you bring more light into the room. And I do see that every time we a few things happen to me. I'm not going to necessarily tell all the stories, because it takes us into something too detailed. But I have seen that some profound healing done in one person, in one individual, can affect, like one woman can help heal hundreds and thousands of women, one child can, and so on and so forth. And that is the beauty and the amazement of the times we're in.
Yes. And when we allow ourselves to explore without preconceived ideas or dictation, just simply go with the flow, and in that discovery, we discover really what our gift is and what we're here to do. So now, talking about gifts, let's talk about your gift of music. And for you, the Reunification song, about uniting us, where did the music come about?
You're talking about the One Nation song?
Yes.
One Nation,
One Heart. But where did your music come about? Was it something you always did?
Yes, I was definitely born with that. Mm-hmm. As a child, my parents were not musicians, but my mother, I think she would have loved to be involved in the arts. And my father loved music. They both loved music, and kind of unconventional music for their background or culture. And so I started to learn theory when I was 7. Back then, it was very codified. You had to go one way. You had to learn 1 year theory before having the right to even choosing an instrument. So then I chose the violin, because to me the violin was magical. But the teacher would never come to the lessons. He was always traveling, and my parents had been actually given a piano. Isn't that a sign, right? Because I was very little when the piano was given. And so naturally, when the violin teacher didn't turn up, it was obvious that I was going to learn with his wife, who was a piano teacher, and we already had a piano. So okay, let's do the piano. And I started to play the piano. Sorry, classical first, and then life events. My parents divorced, and I didn't have a piano anymore. So music was always there. When I was in my younger years, I had that facility to sound like the person I was singing a song of. The challenge was to find my own voice, my own sound. And there was another great challenge, which was that I never sounded from the opinion of the professionals. I never sounded like I look.
You have a very deep voice. Yes.
They used to, they said, like, if I close my eyes, I imagine a big fat mama, black, which is a compliment to me, because I really love, like, I sing gospel. I love those voices.
The blues. Oh, yes.
But it's been a challenge to look different from what I sounded and what the industry, their own limitation to understand, and even some forms of racism I have seen there, which also contributed in me wanting to bring that one nation, one heart, one consciousness. So music was always with me, but I started to write my own songs when I was 19. Actually, it's quite interesting the way it started, because I had an accident with the near-death experience, and I had some health problems after that. Long story short, there was a big dominance of the right hemisphere of the brain, and there was some dysfunctional stuff on the other side. I was treated by an osteopath, and it's after the first craniosacral work that the first need to write got manifested. And one morning I woke up, and I think I never stopped writing for hours. Everything was in there, and it
flowed right out.
And that was the beginning of my own writing. So songs come, some artists talk about muses. It's definitely an inspiration.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that you can, I was going to say grab, but the word grab is too dense to describe that. To catch, to perceive. It's subtle at first. Some songs are discreet, some songs are loud. Every song is it's like a baby, you know, they all have their own souls and their own soul. And every song also has its own spirit.
Yeah.
One Nation song came from meeting John Gora on LinkedIn, who's a young Kenyan, who's 29, and who could almost be my son. And he was carrying the same dream, that dream of seeing people united. And we just talked a few times, and this song just came. It just came as if it was waiting to be here.
Right.
You know?
Yes. Yes. Here in America, I'm in Canada, but in North America, they have American Idol show on. And there is a young man on it right now called Haliando. And he is an artist. And he mostly plays the guitar. He can play the piano. He can play many instruments. And he has a very high voice, but it's just so pure. It is like liquid gold just flowing all the time. And he can his creativity is constant. And I think you definitely will win. Someday we will know. But it's so interesting because in the past, his music never would have got anywhere near. And now it's been so embraced because there is a spirit with him. The way he sings, the way he gently embraces people's souls and hearts with his song. It's a time where people are hungry for the gentility. They're hungry for the soft touch. They're hungry for the words that speak to the soul and the heart. And it's really quite extraordinary and beautiful to see this kind of awakening happening, because it's just another indication how we are beginning to blossom.
Mm. It's beautiful the way you talk about it. I really love listening to you talking about this gentleness, this kindness that is so needed. The world we live in has become very noisy, very brutal. I mean, it always was brutal in some ways. It was even more brutal at some point, but it is brutal because it is denying the human at in some places, and there's the pressure of time, the pressure of money, the pressure of this and that, and people do need to feel their heart.
Yes.
I believe music is that. Music is a bridge between heaven and earth, between two. You know, the I Ching, the
I Ching, yeah, I love it. Yes.
It has an hexagram, which is the number 16, enthusiasm, which describes that very, very beautifully about what art is meant to be in a society. And that's also why, you know, I chose at some point to really quit the recording industry by choice. I was a kind of successful. I played in front of large venues, and but to me there was something which was not quite right for me.
Superficial, right?
It's superficial, but not only that. It's just like I couldn't be what I was meant to be as an artist, as a songwriter, even as
you were too soon, right? It's different now.
Some people said that. Some people said, you're too early. What you talk about, or the way you mix music, or styles, it's too early. It's too early. Many people said that, but at the same time, it's like music is sacred to me. It is, and I just cannot, you know, be a bar of soap.
Right, you can't regurgitate it out mindlessly. Yes, it's a kiss. You know, it's an expression of love. It's an embrace. So when you sing a song that comes from your heart and soul, you know, you don't want people. It's something very sacred that you're sharing, and you want people to open up and receive it in that sacredness. You want people to honor the gift that you're giving, and not text, you know, as it is today. The receiving of it, as I said with the Alejandro, with the music that he's playing, I am surprised at the reception and delighted at the same time, because it's soul music. And I'm not talking about blues. I mean, literally he's singing from the heart and the soul. So it shows people are hungry and ready for it. You were before your time, but you're back now and you're producing songs now, and it's what we need, because songs is your kiss, your embrace. It's your invitation for people to open up their own hearts and their own spirits and see how they feel. Lift up that spirit. Doesn't that feel wonderful? Open up your heart. Can't you feel all the love? Listen to your soul and its guidance and see where it can take you. This is the feeling that you can live in all the time. You don't just have to listen to it when you play a song, but let the song ignite you into a presence that where with your quantum energy you can maintain.
Absolutely. You say things in a very beautiful manner. It's it's poetry. It's music to my ears.
We all have different instruments, right? You know, it's not always the song, you know. Some people write it, some people speak it. It doesn't matter what your instrument is. I think the other thing is, don't second guess it. No, just because maybe that person or that mainstream doesn't get it, doesn't mean that there isn't an audience waiting for you. Keep playing, keep singing, keep speaking from the heart and the soul. Your audience is ready, waiting for you when you're ready to present. Don't get discouraged by the people that aren't yet ready to hear you.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, Sarah, we live in a world which is very, very hard for artists
Mm,
because it's
yeah.
very difficult to live from your art. If,
Yes.
like, okay, I'm kind of incorruptible,
Right. You
and
have integrity.
yeah, but to an extent which is kind of I wouldn't say extreme because we all know that balance is in the middle, and
Yes.
I've worked on myself to find this place of balance. But integrity to that level is not apparently not very common on this planet.
Hmm.
And if you want to live doing your art, it is not easy because of the world structures, because of the beliefs that are
Hmm.
still at play, uh, because also of the changes. Like the internet is a wonderful thing.
Absolutely.
It allows you and I to be
Yeah.
speaking
Yes.
together right now from, you know, to very, very, we are very far away in distance. I mean, Europe, you're in Canada, and we can speak and see each other, which is just amazing, fantastic. We can meet people from all over the planet. That is the beautiful thing of the internet. But at the same time, uh, it has changed life. And like I was just talking this afternoon a little earlier to somebody who didn't know what Spotify was, and I was explaining to them that you as a musician pay to be played on Spotify, and then Spotify, you know, but we don't. What do we get? I mean, in terms of financial balance, we get nothing,
No.
and so it's. I've never made any. I've never. I mean, my reason to make music has never been
Right.
finance. I never wanted to try to be rich through music. Uh, but
It's
at the same
sustainability. That's what you're looking at. Is that I think the more and more. I mean, this is why artists like you, you've been given the gift of the quantum energy, but it's also the sustainability that you have to have in order for as long as we're in this human vessel, we have needs, right?
exactly.
Which we have to fulfill. I understand what you're saying. This podcasting network is a form of art. I interview people from around the world who are making a difference in the lives of others. And sometimes it's financially supported, but sometimes not, because people do forget. You have a roof over your head, you have to make sure you maintain. And it's but don't you do it from the love it? Yes, I do. I do it from the heart and the soul and the conviction. And it's my role in life to bring about as many people like you to ignite the spirits and the souls of others. That's what I'm here to do. But let us not forget the artists that do need that sustainability. Let us honor their gift. No, and don't demean them and say, oh, it's all about the art and the love. No, respect the fact that they need tools in order to do their art, and they should be rewarded financially for it. That is the practical side of it. That's the human side of it. And for as long as we're in the human vessel, we have to take care of the human needs and not be sacrificial, because we then pay for it with bad health, or we pay for it with discouragement. And we don't want that. We want everybody to lighten up. So I think when you talk about unification, I think we also need to look at the balance of money. There are some people that have made a great deal of money in the world, and I very much believe in reseeding opportunities, supporting others doing the work that you can't do. So when there is a musician that is singing a song that you know is unifying people, make sure you reward that musician for that song that is something that speaks to something you can't speak to. You're using that voice. So I think something we have to bear in mind, don't we? That no, you're not going to be the next Kanye West, making trillions, or Beyonce, right? Nor do you want to be, but one has to honor the art that you are giving, and that it should be respected. Because
Well,
there's
you
the
know,
imbalance.
yeah, absolutely. I'm the mother of a 20-year-old. He just turned 22 2 weeks ago, and he's a musician too. And some years ago, when I was asking him, what do you want to do? And one day he told me very seriously, I want to I just want to be a musician. It's just my life. It's my passion. And I looked at him and I said, well, you know that this, it's difficult to live from music. If you don't want to do like, okay, you can make lots of money with music. If you play in weddings, if you accept to make commercial music just for the sake of making, but it's different. It's not making music. It's making, well, I don't want to judge that, but it's somehow it's no longer art. And so, you know, he plays the drums. He actually is the one who plays on the song. He plays the drums, the bass, the guitar beautifully. He just brilliant sound engineer for his age. He's got a maturity in terms of sound that is amazing. And he's mixing and mastering, and it's a passion, and he just does not want to hear about anything else.
No,
he's alive with that.
No. And I always say interviewing musicians is a guilty pleasure for me, because one thing I can be guaranteed: this is coming from their heart and soul. It's not coming from the ego or from their riches or I'm rich or famous. They can't do anything else, because the music is in them and it's got to come out, and it is their expression of love, of truth, and it is so beautiful. When you interview the musicians like yourself, who are compelled to bring this, as you said, when you open it up, it's got to come pouring out. You can't deny it. It's coming out for a reason. So yes, this is why it's so hard for our musicians, because they are speaking our truth. They are playing that music that gets us through the day, that ignites us, and we should turn around and respect it more. There is one of those industries that needs to have more balance, definitely more balance. But that is, I think, as we raise the human consciousness into more of the loving vibration, into that 500, 180 hertz at least, you know, as we set into that and we start glowing more, then we will start looking at the inadequacies of certain industries, the imbalance, and start balancing things off. But I think we need to raise the frequency a little more before the consciousness of what is wrong is going to be addressed.
Yeah, you know, Sarah, I really tried to stop not only going out of the show business, that I did quit, but I really tried to stop music, because it was always kind of for a long time, it was frustrating.
Yes.
What I was feeling, what I was hearing, even in myself at the time of creation of a song, and never to realize that, because it used to cost a lot of money to record something with a good sound, like recording studios and facilities have a cost. And I did all sorts of things like barter my vocal services for friends against studio time and all of that. And at some point, I just thought, okay, well, if the world is not interested, then maybe I should do something else. And I kind of tried to, well, I feel bad at saying that. It sounds really, really kind of tough to have done that to myself.
Yeah.
But I didn't know better. So I just try to put the artist in a cupboard and to say, okay, you stay quiet. We don't need you for that.
Good luck on that.
You have to provide, you know, I'm a mother and this and that. But it doesn't work. And it always comes back up. And I have gone through everything, discouragement, whatever, and peace as well. I found that space of peace with that, you know, acceptation, and that's the hollow bone I was mentioning before. Letting go so deeply that everything is, it's all good, you know. And truly, it's not a mask, you know, that doesn't work. But then the artist was like still there.
Yes, waiting to come back out.
You know, are you going to let me come out? And you know, this song that you have chosen, Love, Serve and Remember, was actually, thank you for that choice, because it's my mother asked me to sing this song and to have my son playing the guitar on it for her 82nd birthday last year in April. She's an Aries, so she's 11th of April is her birthday. And so we recorded this song, and this song actually brought it all back.
Mm-hmm.
It brought it all back, because if you listen to the lyrics of the song, it talks to the soul. It's
Yes.
very, very profound. It's very simple. It's a beautiful song. John Astin, who wrote the song, and it worked for me too. It brought my soul back into this alignment, and also into being the artist I am. You can't deny what you are.
You can't. And you know, yes, sometimes, you know, you went on the quantum journey, you did other things, and that's what I call the redirect. And, you know, and what the heart is so centered with will come back, or will come back in a different form. Sometimes you need to pause, go in another direction to gather more tools to, you know, create your own orchestra. But when I listen to the song, of course, I'm all about service. And it's, what are you doing here? Why have you come here to Earth? What service are you being? Because as far as I'm concerned, we're here to serve one another. That is what being a human is all about, is that we are here as a collective to support, love, and serve one another. What is your instrument? You know, why have you come here? What's your role to play? And so when I listened to the song, it really spoke to me very much on that, where that question is in life. What's life all about? You know, what's my part in life? And that is that question. And that self-discovery of what is your instrument, where do you belong, which orchestra, is that beautiful discovery in life. That if you listen to the heart and the soul, it will lift your spirit into action, and your mind will know what it needs to know when it needs to know it. If you listen only to your head, you'll constantly be disconnected and running around chasing your tail forevermore. So heart and soul and spirit, right?
Absolutely. We cannot deny any level, but a lot of, I think it's the Dalai Lama who said that too much energy is spent with develop the heart, too much energy spent in the mind in your countries, the Western world. And we have been taught and once again conditioned to trust the mind and to develop the mind. And people go for long studies. They go to college, university, and all that to study very complicated things, which is just food for the mind.
Yeah.
And the solutions and the real true healing doesn't happen at that level.
No.
It happens here in the heart.
In the heart, and with the soul's divine presence, you know, getting our spirit into action. And, you know, we've got to understand we're 4 key personalities, and we have 4 key things that serve this body, this vehicle that we're in. The soul, the heart, the spirit, and the mind, they need to work together in harmony. Because as you know, working with people with the quantum energy healing, it's all about balance, isn't it? When you bring the body back into an equilibrium, into a good balance, and balance doesn't mean rigid. It means that it's constantly in flow, because everything in frequency, everything in energy is constantly in flow. But you don't want it having high pitches or low points. We want it constantly to be in harmony in its flow. And when you're in that flow, you're in your know.
Yes,
you know what you're here to do, and you do it, and it's right. It's right for the time when it's right. But if you're not, and you're pitching high and low, that static is that's there, that disconnect is there, and that's when that disruption starts happening and breaking down in the body and everything else. So that harmony and quantum energy of keeping ourselves in sync is essential.
You've just written a song, Sarah. You've just written a song. I wish I could. We will have the recording, so I'll get back to it if you allow me.
Yes, gosh, yes. You can find a song on that, yes.
Yes, the song is there. I have picked up on the rhymes where you're in the flow. When you're in the flow, you're in the know.
Yeah.
I have to get back to that. I'll make a sound. I'll make a song out of that.
Oh, wonderful! That would be really exciting. And again, one never knows. You see, we just go with the flow. And when we do, when we get out of our ego or our restraints or our conditioning, and we just allow ourselves to go with the flow, the people you're meant to know and the things that you're meant to do will all happen in the now. The gift of the present is in the now.
Yes.
And, you know, it's What
That's
happened?
for the present.
Yes,
The present is the present.
yes, exactly. And people, some people have said, how many people listening to your shows? And I go, all those that are ready to hear. And we've got to understand, before we even put the show out, the energy is already out there and is being picked up by other people's wavelength. And they may not hear the words, but they're already riding our frequency and they're already feeling better. And we've got to understand that's how energy works. It is a beautiful look at the blood in our body. Look at the oxygen in our body. Look at the wind. Look at the oceans. Look at the way the trees move. Everything is in fluidity. Everything in life is in flow. Why have we been taught to be stagnant? Because that's where all our problems come from. When we
Mhm.
step into that flow of life and go with the wind, go with the breeze, go with the water, go with the current, it is exciting what we discover and how we just keep broadening out that energy. And again, it's not about what you know, it's about what you need to know when you need to know it. It will be there.
Yeah, because when we are in this alignment, uh, knowledge that is needed to be known is
Yes,
accessible. We are
yes,
guided. We
exactly.
don't need it's like a laptop you don't want to have. Recently, I had to buy a hard drive because my laptop was too full. It
Yeah.
couldn't work
Yes,
anymore.
yes,
Same
I have one right there. Yes. Yeah.
So I had to like kind of put things into the hard drive to make space so that the whatever the computer could work. And we are the same.
Yeah,
When we keep too much, there's an overload and the fluidity, as you say,
yeah,
is lost.
yeah,
And we need to have, and you know, this emptiness I mentioned before, I think we're talking about the same thing when you talk about being in the flow, in that
yeah,
fluidity.
yeah,
This emptiness is necessary. It's like, as you said, getting yourself out of the picture so that you can really truly be yourself, but the true self,
yes,
not the believed person you're supposed to be to please this person or that person, or because that's not us.
yeah. Not the society's dictation of what you should be, but who you really are meant to be by God's design. Right? And each one of us are given different gifts. We can't measure the gifts, so your gift is better than mine, or my gift is better than yours. That's again the human condition. We've got to understand our instrument. Our instrument must be able to be played on its own and be invitational, be inspirational. But when it comes together with the orchestra, and it invites the choir and it invites the dancers, what a wonderful performance that just expands out in elevation, lifting up other spirits and hearts. It is truly, truly divine. That's the reason why we love music so much, because
Mhm.
the way it lifts us, the way it penetrates us, it's not about just getting us up and boogieing. It speaks to us, for us, and allows us to be who we're meant to be.
Beautifully said. What can I say? Have you ever tried to write poetry?
No, I'm in the
I
now person. What I say in the now is in the now, and the way I do my shows, and when I'm doing my own or when I'm writing, that's it. There might be one topic, I go, and then once it's done, it's done. I'm already in the next now.
Okay, well, that's beautiful. That is
I'm very
so.
much in the flow. It's that actually, I used to criticize that for. Why don't you retain the information? Why don't you this? Why don't you do that? And it's because when I need to know something, it'll be there. I don't, you don't have everything on your computer open. When you need something, you go to that file, you go to this, you go to that, right? It's the same with the mind. The mind is massive amount of data. When you know intricately, I need this information, you can go and extract that information. Heart and soul and spirit will know what to do with it.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we are connected to so many. I mean, when we do the sessions, like we can go into the Akash,
Mm,
piece of information from the Akash. It's not in our personal mind, but it is in the book of life
yes.
somewhere. And when you don't know something, you just like intuition.
Hmm.
where is intuition plugged? Intuition is a connection with where the information is. It is somewhere. It exists somewhere. We don't need to possess things. I think that's also another false belief that we've been conditioned to have, and that's why people are buying so many things and needing so many things, and as a result, the planet is in such poor condition. And we have to stop that. We have to, in a way, go back to more. We don't need all that.
No. Our consumerism is killing the planet, and it's a substitute for our happiness, and it doesn't make us happy. Be comfortable, have things you enjoy that energize and support you. Yes, nobody's saying that you need to live in a shack or a tent, but what we are saying is don't go and purchase just to make you feel good, or because somebody else has it, or you need to keep up with the Joneses. I promise you, there isn't one person that's done that is not empty on the inside. There are so many people that are bank rich that are in totally heart and soul poor. And there are people that are heart and soul abundant, that their banks are in jeopardy. But what we're looking for again is that balance, isn't it? Yes. But the real abundance really is when you make that connection to your heart and soul, isn't it?
I do believe so. The real true wealth is in the heart. It's the love you are able to give. It's your ability to be free to offer your time to somebody. I never count my time when people need to talk or to have a presence, and I have found out that it's a real true form of wealth.
Yeah.
Have that freedom to do that. The days I feel poor are the days where I constantly run and I'm under pressure and I just can't just take the time to smile to somebody in a shop, for instance. Somebody I don't know, I hug people very easily. I mean, I don't impose them to be hugged if they don't want to, okay? It's fine, it would be respected. But for me to give that love in that form, and people need so much that loving energy that most of them are just so happy. And it can be somebody you see for the first time. It even happens in the corporate world. But this planet we live on is so beautiful, and I really want to talk about that because it is so, so important for people to look at trees differently. When a tree is cut down, it's like they just do it as if it was a piece of whatever. But it's a life.
It's an energy source.
Yes. And it's a life. A tree is a life, is a being that has been seeing so much, and that has also helped us. Trees are very precious for the balance, and you can see that in the Amazonian forest where they have cut down too many trees, they have problems like the rivers, some parts collapse and creates a lot of problems for the inhabitants along the river. So it is also very important to remember that we have to be grateful. We have to be grateful for the beauty of this planet. This planet is so awesome. There is so much beauty. Look at the ocean, look at the sky, look at the trees, the flowers, the rivers. It is amazing. And we have taken that for granted. We have to stop that.
We've become so complacent. We've become so entitled. And who says you're entitled to it? Who says it's your right to have? You are renting here on this planet. You've got to be good tenants. And don't leave it trashed for the next generation. And when you look at a forest, it stands the test of times for thousands of years. The matrix of those roots are feeding, nurturing, supporting, and communicating with each other. That's the reason why they could withstand so many storms, withstand so much in life, because of that matrix holding each other together. The only creatures on the planet that hurt each other for pleasure are humans. The only creatures on the planet that will destroy things for its own need are humans. And the only creatures on the planet that are so disconnected to their heart, soul, and spirit, and their purpose here are humans. Nature and all other animals know exactly what their role is here. And it's about time we stop looking at each other as looking as we're the superior beings. We're not. But we can be if we make the choice to step into being solutional rather than the problem. And that means we need to step into our heart, soul, and spirit, raise our love vibration, become that wonderful glow that's going to set this earth differently. Because if we don't, we will destroy the earth, or the earth will evict us. I hope the earth just evicts us if that comes to that.
She can.
She wants to, yeah, absolutely. She can just write us right off and start all over again. But if we wake up in time, and if we understand, it's not the politicians. Remember, when you're pointing a finger, there's three coming back at you. It's not the politicians, it's not the corporations, it's what we have allowed them to do because we didn't use our voice. Right? And with your song, Unification, about using our voice, about coming together as a choir, about singing that song that will bring us all together on that higher energy plane, that plane where we want to be of aid of each other and this planet. We cannot commit harm at that level. So that's the reason why your song is so important. The other song, what are we doing here? What's your role to play? The Unification song is time for us to come together. So two songs that are really, really important at the present moment.
Well, I hope, I always think a song has the power to talk to the being in a way that cannot be stopped by the mind, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
Because the mind is a good stopper. It stops people. People just, at some point, they block things because the mind is not able to really, truly understand. And that's how wars and segregation and hatred begin, out of fear. Right?
Yes, judgment, fear, all coming from that inner ignorance of
You look
unwillingness.
I don't know. Oh, okay. What are you? They are afraid, and so they start. Conflict begins and war begins.
Right.
If we learn to respect one another, work with one another, understand make the effort to understand one another, not go into judgment just because. Well, maybe the person in front of you has a reason. You don't know what they're going through.
Right.
And so it's tolerance, respect. So this song is about bringing joy. The first energy that I received when I received this song, the One Nation, One Heart song, is joy and hope. Because I felt in the collective a very, very sad wave of discouragement, something that people, were feeling drained.
Yes.
And this song was bringing joy and hope. We still can make it. We can make it if we do what it takes, which is to unite, which is to remember where we come from, to remember that we are all sisters and brothers born from the same source, on the same Mother Earth with the same Father Sky. We all have that in common. We can be different color, skins, shape, size, whatever. But we are just all brothers and sisters. And if we behave as a family, we can make it change.
Yeah.
We, as the people, we have a power. Like if we don't like something, we can stop buying it.
Yes. Yes. Stop supporting it. Yeah.
Yes, stop supporting. But some things are supported with the power of our money, and it doesn't take to be rich to do that.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, look at actually how veganism has escalated around the world. It's just massive how now it's come into play. And it's that consciousness of raising that of what we're doing to animals, but also the need of understanding our gluttony, because we're now manufacturing animals. We don't care how they suffer as long as somebody's got bacon on their burger. Now, you can have a wonderful plant food burger with plant food bacon, and it tastes absolutely fantastic, and it's not killing anybody to do it. And consciousness we've got to raise, whether it is veganism, whatever your path is, we've got to raise that consciousness and look at the plastics in the world, right?
Yeah.
We created that. we can clean it up, and we can also stop those practices. It's take your head out of the sand. When you look at a forest, how many different species of trees are there? Do they kick the tree out because it's different species? No, it don't. They all support one another as one forest. So why can we not support one another as one global nation? Earthlings, all life on this planet. It's time we stepped up and respected more, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe we can do it. I believe we can still do it. It's difficult sometimes to believe so because there's a lot of chaos around. There's a lot of fear still. And
which is very evident in the news.
Exactly. But I mean, I worked as a journalist, as a radio journalist for 2 decades. So I remember I was not into the news, but I spent 1 year in the news, and it is their business to sell drama,
yes,
right?
Of course.
So people also look for that, and at the same time they complain about that. But if everybody stops listening to the bad news and was asking for the good news, maybe some people would want to bring more good news in the news.
Right. I call it the CNN effect, taking a pimple and making it into a volcanic eruption. Right? It's all about sensationalism because they know fear sells, fear controls, and fear gets people out buying. Right? So it's, stop being the puppet, start feeling and thinking for yourself.
But, I mean, to me, it's like I was born vegetarian. I could never swallow meat. I was born like that. I have no merit. It's just like something I came with. And when I see people some people are going a bit extreme when things are new, and it's okay. Yeah. It's the process. But just respecting that an animal is alive is not difficult. But some people don't care. They're just greedy. They just want the taste. Okay, but it's also our part to be tolerant, because not everybody came with the same sole purpose.
Right.
Not everybody came with the same, pathway to, and it is part of our mission as well to be tolerant, to not fall into the trap of judging others because they are different or because they don't do as good as, okay, we don't know at the end of the day what's really good. I know that to me it is shocking to see the way that animals are mistreated for the sake of production, for the sake of greed of some. But when people, I don't try to convince them to eat the way I eat because it's natural for me. But plastic, for instance, like blisters, everything comes into blisters, and we have to stop that. Yes. That is serious. I mean, ocean life is really, really being, but at the same time, if you look on the other side, you've got all these young people who are now 30 or 35 or 25, who are coming up with inventions, beautiful inventions.
Yes.
Isn't that fantastic?
Fantastic. In fact, I had a show on here under Transformations a little while ago with one of my hosts interviewed a guy in Australia, and they're called Ocean Crusaders, and they go out cleaning the ocean. They take the kids out there to do it. Now, not only are they cleaning things up, but they're showing the kids how detrimental it is to sea life, how detrimental it is to human life. But it's also now installing in those children prevention, that they're not going to do things that is going to be a problem along the line. And kids are absolutely incredible today with their ability to see things. I mean, we call them the indigo kids, and I call them the gifted kids, because they have a voice right now of reasoning that we seem to have lost, of logic that we seem to have stopped seeing. But it all comes from the heart and passion of what needs to be done to bring about our equilibrium and our harmony again. It's time we listen to our children, because listening to our ego has put us in this problem in the first place. I always say, you need to be blind, deaf, and dumb in order to see, hear, and feel. And, sometimes switching all your senses off, as you say, emptying out, and then reigniting everything in a different light and seeing things in a different way will invite us to take different actions.
Absolutely. But when you talk about the children, I call them new children. Okay, that's another podcast, because if I begin to talk about that,
I
We are
have a whole children's series right now, The Forgotten Children, and it's about, our foster children, it's our children of dysfunctional parents, it's our children in the educational system. But it's not just about our young children today, it's also about the inner child. The inner
yes,
child, because so many people that I've counseled or come across in the world, it's that inner child that was abused, neglected, or something happened to it that is carrying around the pain that's stopping that adult from being who they're meant to be. And we have to face that pain. It doesn't mean you have to relive it, but you have to be your own healer. And all you're doing with your healing is you're not there, abracadabra magic. You're igniting things within them so they can be the healers of themselves.
yeah, it's actually part of the work when we do the sessions, and sometimes it would be the inner child that comes up,
Yeah.
and it's the healing takes place from the moment the person accepts to become the parent
Yeah.
of that, and to embrace the inner child where it was. I had to do that for myself. And the first time I connected with my inner child, I found a very, very scared little
Yes.
girl. Very, very scared. And I was like, oh, really? I mean, I didn't know,
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It can be a little daunting to face yourself. And it's, immediately I think for the human nature, we go for judgment. Oh, but you should have been this and you should have been that, because society keeps telling us should. And it's like, no, I was a product of my environment. Now I know better. I don't have to be a victim of that anymore. I can make better choices for myself that isn't based on my past. And that you can only do that when you're willing to face yourself and release. Because now the knowledge that you have is in the now, and it's not governed by the past.
yeah, well, it's also very, very important for people to understand that this victim thing is a pattern.
Yes.
And it's what one of my teachers used to call the inferno triangle between the victim, the abuser, and the savior. So we have to, like, the consciousness has to get out of that, because it's a system that is never ending.
Yeah.
And as long as we try and go into these 3 points, there's no solution. We're going to be either the victim or the abuser, or in the illusion of saving. But we are not victims. We are souls who choose, and we have the choice, and we have a power. Like, what happened to me when I was, I don't know if I've told you that, but when my son was little, I was diagnosed a terrible disease that was degenerative, incurable, and terminal. I was given 3 years. And doctors couldn't do anything. They didn't understand anything about that. I had a marrow puncture. I actually saw myself from the ceiling, but that was not the first time. So the doctor was pretty much panicked. But what changed the game, and what makes it so that I am here today, alive and kicking.
You're right. And singing. Yeah.
Is that I took responsibility.
Right.
I understood that this body is my body. So if there's a miscreation in this body, or maybe from the time I didn't want to be here, because in the beginning I didn't want to be here. This planet was very, oh my God, where am I? I wanted to go back home, and so I tried to go back home for years, and all of a sudden it's like your body, is no longer supporting you. When I say responsibility, the ability to respond and change the choices, change the choice. And and that's how also I learned to heal other people, because I had to do it for myself first, in the soul, in the memories, in the wounds and whatsoever, and the inner child, but also with the physical. And like water is so not yet fully understood. The research of Masaru Emoto about water.
Yes, I interviewed his assistant twice, so we definitely went into that. Yeah.
So, but I do believe that it's not yet fully understood what can be done from his work,
Yeah.
you know.
Let's just, for people who don't know what it is, it's just basically 3 rooms, 3 different glasses of water. One was ignored, one was given negativity, one was given love. The ignored one didn't change. The one that was given the negativity turned black and dense, and the other one crystallized, and each one of those crystallization can be measured at a higher frequency. So we are 70% water, our brain is 90% water. So if we live in that negativity, or if we are abstaining from any feeling whatsoever, we are not feeding ourselves. When we step into the love vibration, we are literally feeding our mind, body, and soul with that frequency, because that's where the water is. So that's the synopsis of Emoto's water.
And at the same time, if you talk to the water in your body,
yes,
and that's what I did.
Yes,
and that's what I did. And
you changed the chemistry of it by changing the energy of it. And then it started fortifying your body instead of attacking your body.
And changing the dialogue.
Yes.
Saying, thank you, I love you. You know, I'm also a Ho'oponopono practitioner. So these 2 words, thank you, I love you, are so powerful. They work on water, but they also work when we have so memories, you know, at work. And so many things are beautiful and possible.
It's knowing when, right? Like I've had a it was Mother's Day here in North America, and I went to my son and worked with him in his restaurant on Mother's Day, worked beside him, which was really nice, but it took a lot out of my body. And I came home and still more rushing. So yesterday I had to admin to do, and the whole day I just had headphones on listening to music. And it just completely reset me, rejuvenated me, calmed me down, and that music changed my water. It fortified me, and you were in there. I was listening to your music too, and for me, it's such a healer. It really is, because it calms everything down, and I could start feeling the replenishment. So it's also knowing what is your trigger, what is your healer, and the only way you're going to do that is spending time with your body, with your heart, with your soul, right? Connecting with yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of people, I also believe that a lot of diseases come to people are actually blessings.
Yes.
They're
yes. No, that's been, everybody I've interviewed that's ever been hit with something like you were. You've given that life sentence, right? You've died once, given another life sentence again. There comes the choice. And they chose to work through it, to do whatever they needed to do to find their wellness. And in doing so, they found their instrument. They found their gift, which now is what they are sharing in the orchestra, every single one of them. So sometimes, you know, that why me, why was I given this? You were given it to find your strength and your courage and your ability to heal yourself, along with gifts like you have. You're there to guide people how to use the instruments. When they're willing to go through it and come out the other side, every single one of them, and I'm sure you're going to say the same thing, I am so grateful. Because of who I have become today is who I have meant to be. And had I not taken that journey, I never would have known me.
Absolutely. And this is, I think it's the beautiful way to end this moment.
Yes.
I am so grateful.
But now we need to know how people can find you. How can they find your music? How can they find your art and your skill? Can you do things virtually, or is everything done hands-on? Tell us more about your process and where people can find you.
Okay, so I think one of the easiest ways to find me is on LinkedIn. It's a professional network where we met, and which allows, it's easy. I'm very easy to
connect that way. Yeah.
Yes, and so I would just accept the connection. My music can be heard online. If you Google Keya Kyea, if you could maybe share a link or something.
All the links are going to be shared here. So how about you share your links right now? For the people who are only listening to the audio, obviously people watching the video are going to see all the links. So we have LinkedIn, where people will put Keya Kyea. So that's Keya Kyea. in, I have the LinkedIn here. Oh, actually, I don't. But this is Reverbenation, which is REVERBNATION.com, and then Keya Kyea. Global Music Club, you're there as well. Reunification.com, and I don't have your LinkedIn on here, which I will adjust immediately. And people can put in your name in LinkedIn, and they will find you there as well.
Absolutely.
And that's the best place to connect with you.
Yeah, I think for anything which is quantum reunification, healing related, it's the easiest.
Right.
They can send a little message, and because we get information through so many ways,
Yep.
Emails, we get a ton, and I think LinkedIn's a good place for that. And my music, if they Google Keya Kyea, they will find a lot of links online. On Reverb Nation, there are many songs, not all of them, of course. I cannot put everything online,
right.
But and there are other sites, but like there are so many. Don't want to give too much information.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to go out with two of your songs. One of them is just 30-second teaser, and that is the Unification one. And then we're going to go into your other song, which is kind of Why Are You Here? The title of that one again is
Love, Serve and Remember.
Love, Serve and Remember. And I want people to ask themselves that. Whom do you love? Because you must love yourself first. Who are you serving? What are you remembering from even your past lives, your past being, what you're here to do? Why are you here? Ask that question, because we are all here in service of one another. We're all here with a gift to embrace that is our instrument in life. And the sooner you're willing to go through that, the quicker you're going to be of service to life. And when you are of service to life, that's when you truly understand your worth, your abundance, and just how beautiful life is. And only when we understand the beauty and the gift that we've been given do we actually understand what this world needs and how we can be a part of its solution. So discovery of self and self-love and your meaningful purpose is one of the key things that you owe it to yourself and to everyone else on this planet. So, Keya, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
I encourage people to listen to the song. Not only is it going to be here, but it will also be up on SoundCloud just under her name. Please share it, because we want people to ask that question of themselves. And if you work with people virtually, so it doesn't matter where they are in the world, with the quantum energy?
Yes, absolutely. I don't need physical presence. We can work even via WhatsApp on the telephone. I don't even need to see them.
Right, of course. It's an energy signature. Once you've connected to that energy, you're tapped in. Right. Yes. And for people who don't understand that, you don't need to understand it. You just need to experience it. Once you've experienced it, you'll have a better understanding of it. So don't be afraid of it. Time for fear has to be let go. It really is time for self-discovery of who you are, why you are, what you're here to do, to empty yourself out so that you can be fulfilled, fortified with the gift that you were here to be. So thank you so much, my love. And we're going to close out with your music. Please take it to heart. Let it lift your day. And don't forget to share the show. It's always a great conversation to have with others. Until next time, folks. Bye for now.
No more suffering for our children who need our love and our care. But there's an end to all things in this life. Behold, the time has come for all of us to be whole and to thrive together as one people, together as one nation. One nation, one heart, one prayer for a brand new start. have you come to love, to serve and remember. Love, serve and remember. Love, 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 serve and remember. Love, 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 serve and remember. Love.
We hope that you enjoyed the show and were inspired. Come and visit us at selfdiscoverymedia.com and see what other shows we have for you. And please do visit our selfdiscoverycommunity.org and see how you can be a part of giving back. Thank you very much.